Have you ever stopped to think about why some days feel so heavy? Why do we come home exhausted, yet still find it hard to relax? I discovered that the answer was right in front of me, literally. It was the excess surrounding me. Every drawer overflowing, every surface cluttered with items, every decision about what to wear, where to store things, and how to organize. A never-ending cycle. When I first walked into a truly organized home, I felt something different, an immediate sense of relief, as if my shoulders could finally drop. My breathing became deeper, my mind clearer. That's when I realized it wasn't just about aesthetics. It was about how the space around us directly impacts our well-being. Today I'm going to share with you the 7 principles that transformed my home from a stress warehouse to a sanctuary of peace. Principles that don't require you to live in a huge house or spend a fortune on expensive organizers. These are simple practices inspired by Japanese minimalism that anyone can apply, even with kids, even with little time, even on a tight budget. The transformation was so profound that it changed not only my home but also my mental health, my relationships, and even my finances. If you're tired of living in a space that drains your energy instead of restoring it, this video could be the turning point you've been waiting for. The first principle I learned was about intention. Every object in my home began to have a clear purpose. It was no longer about accumulating beautiful things or keeping items just in case. It was about living with what I truly use and appreciate. I started by asking a simple question for each object. Does this serve me, or am I serving it? It was shocking to realize how many things I was keeping just out of obligation. Gifts that didn't match my style, but I held on to avoid offending the giver. Clothes that I hadn't worn in years, but I kept because they were expensive. Reminders of moments that weren't even that special. I was serving my possessions, not the other way around. When I began to go through each room with this new mindset, the transformation was immediate. I donated 5 bags of clothes I didn't wear. I got rid of duplicate kitchen utensils. I passed along books I would never read again. And with each item that left, I felt an invisible weight being lifted off my shoulders. The second principle was understanding that empty space is not waste. It's a necessity. I grew up hearing that I needed to make use of every inch of the house. If there was an empty wall, I needed to put up a picture. If there was an unoccupied corner, I needed a table. If there was a shelf with space, I needed to fill it. I learned that empty space allows your home to breathe. It lets your mind rest. When I redecorated my living room, I left one wall completely bare. My friends were puzzled at first. "Are you going to put something there?" they asked. But I started to notice how my eyes naturally rested on that area when I felt tired, how that empty space gave me a sense of calm that no decoration could provide. The third principle was about functionality over appearance. There's no point in having a beautiful kitchen if you have to juggle things to prepare a meal. The beauty lies in ease of use, not just aesthetics. I reorganized my cabinets so that the items I use every day were easily accessible. The plates I use daily are on the eye-level shelf. The ones I only use on special occasions are stored higher up. I did the same with my clothes. The pieces for the current season are in the front of the closet, while out-of-season items go to the back or into boxes under the bed. This simple change reduced the time I spent deciding what to wear by 70%. When you have fewer options, but all of them are options you truly like and use, making decisions becomes much easier. The fourth principle was to adopt cleaning as a daily practice, not as an occasional chore. Before, I would let clutter build up throughout the week and then spend an entire Saturday cleaning the house. It was exhausting and frustrating because by Monday, the cycle would start all over again. Now I have small cleaning rituals integrated into my day. I never leave the kitchen with a sink full of dishes after a meal. I never go to bed with clothes spread out in the bedroom. I have a basket for mail that I check and empty daily, so paperwork doesn't pile up. These small actions combined have eliminated the need for those intensive cleaning sessions that consumed my weekends. The fifth principle was to understand that letting go is a muscle that needs to be exercised. In the beginning, it was hard to part with things. I would make excuses. What if I need this someday, and it was a gift from my aunt? It cost too much to donate. But the more I practiced letting go, the easier it became. I started by setting physical limits on my belongings. I decided that all my makeup products should fit in a single drawer. When the drawer became full, something had to go before anything new could come in. I did the same with my books, my kitchen utensils, and my clothes. This simple rule made me much more aware of what I really needed to bring home. The sixth principle was about establishing a designated place for everything. It seems obvious, but many homes lack an organized system. Items end up scattered wherever there's space. When each object has its assigned spot, two magical things happen. First, you always know where to find it. Second, it becomes much easier to put it away after using it. I invested in some simple storage boxes. They don't have to be expensive or fancy. I used clear labels. Now medications are all together in a box in the bathroom cabinet. Important documents are kept in a folder in the office. Small tools are in a box in the garage. This system has eliminated those frustrating moments of, where is that thing I need right now? The seventh principle, and perhaps the most important, was understanding that minimalism doesn't mean living with the bare minimum. It means living with what is sufficient for you. It's a personal balance that varies from person to person. Some people feel better with a wardrobe of just 30 pieces. Others need more variety. Some love having many books around. Others prefer a Kindle. The important thing isn't the specific quantity, but the awareness behind each item you keep. I realized that my needs changed over time and with the seasons of life. When I started working from home, I needed to reorganize my office to meet new demands. When my son was born, I had to adapt the house to include essential items for him while still maintaining organization. Minimalism is not a fixed goal to be achieved, but an ongoing practice of awareness about what truly matters to you. One of the most challenging areas for me was the kitchen. As someone who enjoys cooking, I had accumulated an absurd amount of utensils. Many of them I only used once or twice a year. Others were duplicates or had such specific functions that they were rarely needed. I decided to conduct an experiment. I packed away all the utensils that I wasn't sure I used frequently into a box. For 3 months, whenever I needed something from the box, I would take it out and then put it back in the kitchen. At the end of the period, everything that remained in the box, and there was a lot, was donated. I discovered that I could make almost any recipe with a surprisingly small set of essential items: a good chef's knife, a cutting board, a large pot, a frying pan, a few spatulas and spoons, and bowls of different sizes. Everything else was just taking up space. The same principle worked for other rooms in the house. In the bathroom, I drastically reduced my beauty and hygiene products. I kept only those that I truly used and that made a difference in my routine. In the office, I digitized old documents and got rid of piles of paper that were just collecting dust. A particularly significant change was in the bedroom. I removed the television, the computer, and anything related to work. I transformed the space into a true sanctuary for rest. The colors are soft, the lighting is cozy, and there are no technological distractions. My sleep quality has improved tremendously with this simple change. Another important aspect was dealing with the constant influx of new items. In a consumer society, we are bombarded daily with messages to buy more. I needed to develop strong filters to prevent my home from returning to its previous state of clutter. Before buying anything new, I ask myself a few questions. Do I really need this? Do I already have something that serves the same purpose? Where exactly will this go in my home? How long will I actually use this item? These simple questions have reduced my impulsive purchases by over 80%. I also established a one-in, one-out system. For every new item I bring into my home, something similar needs to leave. A new shirt, an old one needs to be donated. A new book, an old one needs to find a new home. This maintains balance and prevents the gradual accumulation that can go unnoticed. One of the most surprising discoveries has been how minimalism has affected my finances. When I stopped buying unnecessary things, I began saving a significant amount of money. But beyond that, I developed a much healthier relationship with money and consumption. I started to value experiences over possessions. Instead of buying more clothes, I invested in a trip I had been postponing for years. Rather than accumulating trinkets, I invested in learning a new skill. I found that the happiness and satisfaction I gained from these experiences were far more enduring than the temporary joy of a new purchase. The impact was also felt in my personal relationships. With a more organized home, I started hosting friends more often. I no longer had that embarrassment of someone dropping by unexpectedly and finding everything a mess. Plus, with less time spent cleaning and organizing, I had more time to truly be present with the people I love. My relationship with my partner also improved. Previously, we had frequent arguments about the mess and who should clean what. With clear systems and a home that's easier to maintain, those tensions have virtually disappeared. We also discovered that we both appreciated the new, calmer and more orderly environment, which brought us more harmony. One question that many people ask me is how to maintain organization with kids at home. It's true that kids come with an impressive amount of stuff, and chaos seems to follow them wherever they go. However, I've found that the principles of minimalism can be adapted even for families with children. The key has been involving my son in the process from an early age. I taught him that every toy has its place. We created a simple system with colorful bins, each designated for a type of toy. At the end of the day, we have tidy up time, 5 minutes during which we put everything back in its place. We also limit the number of toys available at any one time. We keep some tucked away and rotate them every few weeks. This not only keeps his interest up, but it also reduces the overwhelming number of options that often leads kids to not play with anything at all. For the drawings and crafts he brings home from school, I created a system. We display the most recent ones on the fridge for 2 weeks. After that, I take a photo to preserve the memory and recycle the paper. Only a few truly special creations are kept in a folder. These strategies have helped teach important values about taking care of our possessions, organization, and the distinction between what is genuinely valuable and what is just temporary. Another common challenge is dealing with people who don't share the same minimalist values. Perhaps you live with someone who likes to accumulate, or you have family members who insist on giving material gifts for every occasion. For these situations, I've learned the importance of clear communication and respectful boundaries. With my partner, we established zones in the house. Some spaces are shared and follow our mutual principles. Others are more personal, where each person can express their own style. As for gifts, I started gently suggesting alternatives. I asked my son's grandparents to consider gifts like swimming lessons, a trip to the zoo, or a contribution to his savings instead of just another toy. To my surprise, many appreciated the suggestion, since they also felt the pressure to find the perfect gift. One of the most profound changes occurred in my morning routine. Before I would wake up with limited time, rushing around the house searching for clothes, keys, and documents, I would start the day already stressed and often forget important things. With the house organized, each morning now flows smoothly. I select my clothes the night before. My bag is always in the same place, filled with the essentials. The coffee maker is set up to be turned on as soon as I wake up. These small preparations give me time to start the day calmly, perhaps even with a few minutes of meditation or reading. In the same way, the evenings have become more serene. I've created a closing ritual for the house. 10 minutes before I go to bed, I do a quick roundup, putting items back in their place, briefly cleaning the kitchen surfaces, and preparing what I need for the next day. This simple habit ensures I wake up in an organized environment, eliminating that oppressive feeling of having pending tasks waiting for me. A frequently overlooked aspect of minimalism is its environmental impact. When we consume less, we naturally generate less waste. When we take better care of our possessions, they last longer, reducing the need for frequent replacements. I've come to value higher quality items that can last for years, rather than cheap versions that need constant replacement. Although these items may be pricier at first, they end up being more economical in the long run and create less waste. I also started to consider the full life cycle of each item I bring home. What will happen to this when it's no longer useful? Can it be repaired, recycled, donated? This perspective has made me much more discerning in my consumption choices. An unexpected benefit of minimalism has been the improvement in my ability to concentrate. In an environment with fewer visual distractions, my mind feels clearer. I can focus for longer periods, both at work and in leisure activities like reading. Scientific research confirms this experience. Studies show that visually chaotic environments compete for our attention, forcing our brains to constantly process irrelevant stimuli. This leads to mental fatigue and reduces our ability to concentrate. An organized space, on the other hand, allows our brains to relax and direct their energy to what really matters. For those who work from home, like I have started to do, this benefit is even more significant. I transformed a corner of the living room into a small office, featuring only the essentials: a computer, a comfortable chair, a plant, and good lighting. No photos, papers, or excessive decorations that could distract. My productivity has significantly increased in this simplified space. I've also noticed changes in how I use technology. Just as I organized my physical space, I began to organize my digital space. I removed apps that I rarely used from my phone. I organized my files into clear folders on my computer. I disabled unnecessary notifications. These small changes reduced the feeling of information overload that often accompanied me. One area that required special attention was the wardrobe. Like many people, I had far more clothes than I actually wore. Some still had tags, others no longer fit, and many I simply didn't like anymore. I decided to create a capsule wardrobe, a reduced set of pieces that mix and match and truly reflect my personal style. The process was eye-opening. I realized that I was only wearing about 20% of my clothes regularly. The rest was just taking up space, generating guilt, and making it harder to find what I actually wanted to wear. I donated everything that didn't fit me, didn't match my current style, or didn't make me feel good. I kept about a third of what I had before. To my surprise, instead of missing those pieces, I felt relief. Each morning, looking at a closet filled with only options I genuinely liked, and that coordinated with each other, made the choice so much simpler and more enjoyable. In the kitchen, besides reducing utensils, I reorganized the food storage. I transferred grains, pasta, and cereals into clear containers, which not only created a more aesthetically pleasing look, but also allowed me to easily see what was running low. I eliminated processed foods with questionable ingredients, simplifying our diet and freeing up space in the cabinets. In the bathroom, I reduced personal care and beauty products to the essentials. I found that many specific products could be replaced with multifunctional alternatives. A good coconut oil, for instance, serves as a body moisturizer, hair conditioner, and makeup remover. This simplification not only freed up space, but also reduced my exposure to unnecessary chemicals. A significant change was in how I dealt with papers and documents. I digitized everything I didn't need to keep in physical form. I created a simple filing system for the essential documents that needed to be retained on paper. For correspondence and bills, I established the habit of dealing with them immediately, paying, filing, or discarding. This eliminated the dreaded piles of paper that used to accumulate in corners of the house. For sentimental items like old photographs, letters, and keepsakes, I've created a more careful system. Instead of keeping everything, I've selected only the items that truly evoke meaningful memories. For the rest, I took photos before letting them go, creating a digital archive that takes up much less physical space while preserving the memories. An important realization was that minimalism is not about perfection, but about intention. There will be days when the house gets messy. There will be periods when new possessions come in faster than we can process. The difference now is that I have systems in place to return to balance. I've also learned the importance of not judging others' choices. Each person has their own journey and their own challenges. What works for me may not work for someone else. Minimalism should be a liberating choice, not another source of pressure or comparison. As my journey continued, I realized that minimalism extended beyond physical possessions. I began applying the same principles to other aspects of my life. I examined my social and professional commitments and eliminated those that didn't add real value. I became more selective with my time and energy, just as I had become with my belongings. Simplifying my schedule was as liberating as simplifying my home. I reduced the number of commitments, allowing breathing space between activities. I learned to say no without guilt, preserving time for what truly matters. My quality of life improved drastically when I stopped trying to do everything and be everywhere. One of the most valuable lessons I've learned is about the difference between organization and minimalism. Organization is finding places for all your things. Minimalism is questioning whether you really need all those things. For years I was very organized. I had systems for everything, labeled boxes, perfectly arranged cabinets, but I still had excess. I still spent time organizing items that I rarely used. The real relief came when I reduced the quantity, not just organized better. It's much easier to maintain a home with fewer items than to perfectly organize a house full of things. If you're considering starting your own simplification journey, my advice is, start small. Don't try to transform your whole house at once. Choose a drawer, a shelf, a surface. Try the process on a manageable scale. Start with the obvious, broken, outdated, or duplicate items. Then move on to items you clearly don't use. As you gain confidence in the process, you can tackle more challenging categories, like sentimental items. Remember that the goal isn't to get rid of everything, but to create a space that supports the life you want to lead. A space that reflects your current values, not your past or some idealized version of the future. The truth is that our relationship with our possessions is complex and deeply emotional. Objects carry memories, represent aspirations, symbolize relationships. Letting go of something can feel like letting go of a part of ourselves. That's why the process should be done with kindness and self-compassion. As you progress, you may encounter resistance, both internal and from those around you. That's okay. Respect your own pace and that of others. Minimalism isn't a race, but a continuous journey of self-discovery and conscious choices. For me, the deepest result of this journey has been a sense of freedom. Freedom from the constant cycle of consumption and accumulation. Freedom from the need to impress others with possessions. Freedom to focus on what truly brings meaning to my life. My home is now truly a reflection of who I am and what I value. Every object has a purpose or holds special significance. Nothing is there by accident or inertia, and this brings a sense of peace that I never thought possible. If you're feeling overwhelmed by excess in your life, know that change is possible. One step at a time, one conscious choice at a time, you can transform your space and in the process, transform your life. The path to a more organized home and a simpler life is available to everyone. It doesn't require a specific budget, a certain type of house, or a particular personality. It only requires the willingness to question ingrained habits and the courage to make changes, even when they're initially uncomfortable. The reward is a home that nurtures rather than drains, a space that supports your goals and values instead of distracting you from them. A place where you can truly rest, create, connect, and live fully. This journey has fundamentally changed my relationship with material possessions. Today I see each item I bring home as something I will need to manage, clean, organize, and eventually discard. This perspective makes me much more mindful of what truly deserves to take up space in my life. Minimalism has taught me that true abundance isn't about having more, but needing less. And in this reduced need, I've found a freedom that no amount of possessions could ever provide. Share this blessed video so it can touch and help others like you and me. Don't forget to click the subscribe button if you haven't already. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for being part of our faith community. If you would like to support our channel a little more, consider becoming a member of our channel. Here are 2 more videos for you to continue your search. Thank you, and may God bless you all. See you later.